This is it, folks, the one everybody's been waiting for to set the field for the big race in 1 week's time, the Pensacola 500 Duel races. This is duel number 1, where 22 cars will take to the high banks of Pensacola to set their starting spots for the third running of the Pensacola 500. Alongside me in the booth, as always, is Duke Kansak for this set of races, and we've got some big names starting at the back, and we've got some relatively unknowns starting at the front. It's going to be a very chaotic race, I'm sure, with many different agendas on tap, but for Aaron Hall, he knows he's racing in the 500. The question is if he can stay on that pole position.
Yeah, this is going to be a great race. I mean, there's so many storylines coming into this. There's so many people making their first start, and it's one of two, and typically when you have two races, the same track and the same night, you get one of them that's a little bit calmer, and then the other one is totally drama-filled, action-packed. So we'll have to see what happens here. I think that all of these drivers are going to go into it pretty aggressive, try to get their best starting position that they can, and then of course the guys that are trying to make the show, they're going to have to be extra aggressive because this is do or die tonight.
So looking at the starting lineup for this first duel, it's an all-rookie front row with Aaron Hall, who set down the fastest time in pole qualifying earlier in the week. He lines up first alongside Cale Tesker Jr., who was third in qualifying. He's on the outside of the front row. Aaron Hall has a simple goal tonight: make it to the finish in one piece. If he can finish this race, no matter if he's a lap down or 10 laps down, he will be starting on pole for the Pensacola 500, as long as he can finish. But there are several cars besides Hall that need to race their way in by being one of the top 3 open cars that can race their way in for the main event. Jonathan Lawson is one of them. He starts 9th in a 4th Venta Motorsports entry. There's Chase Christ and Justin Henley, both from Henley Bemidji Motorsports. They start near the back of the field, trying to make their first series starts. And then you have some veterans. Anderson Reed in his second season, he's trying to make the 500 for the first time, as well as Jason Parker in the 76. All of those drivers need to be thinking you've got to be able to race your way in. And if you can't do that, you'll have to be biting your nails while watching that second duel, because it is going to be an absolute cluster out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I said a minute ago, it's absolutely do or die for those drivers. So tonight's the night. It's time to show what you got. Show your colors. See if you can make it to the front. Show off what kind of speed you've got in those race cars, because this is it. It's time to make it happen. This is the race before the race, and the race to get into the race. So I'm excited to watch this thing and see how it all unfolds.
This is going to be the biggest race of Aaron Hall's career. He'll lead him to the green flag next. This is the 1UP Superstar Series Pensacola 500 Duel number 1, and the green flag is coming up next. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss a second. With Aaron Hall on the inside line, Cale Tesker Jr. on the outside, both trying to make their first Pensacola 500. Green flag in the air. We are underway. Mark Davey jumps to the high side. He's trying to make his first 500 as well. He knows he'll be racing on next Sunday, but everybody else has got to be on tenterhooks, as they already go 3 wide for many positions deep in the field, and we're already approaching 200 miles per hour, and they haven't even come off turn 2 yet.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing how fast these cars can go. And something that we saw in the shootout, which was the same amount of laps as this, is that everybody in the pack stayed together. There were no accidents and nobody lost the draft. So there's a few more cars in this race than there were in the shootout. So there's a bigger chance that drivers will lose the draft, but we'll have to see. Everybody so far this season has seemed pretty even. So coming through the first turn, here we go. Aaron Hall going to lead the first lap of this one.
But his teammate ducks out on him, car number 83, but then he gets ducked out on by the 77 of Diego Yepes. On the inside, Justin Hutchinson doesn't know who he's going to push in that number 10. It looks like he's going to push the 83 out to the lead, but Diego Yepes is going to get a push from Kevin Carter in the 70 and Jonathan Lawson in the 16. That's going to be one of the cars to keep an eye out for, is that 16 car of Lawson. He needs to race his way into the 500. He's got no points to fall back on. He absolutely needs to be up at the front, and be up at the front all race long, as Yepes tries to take the lead away.
Yeah, one of the biggest things to watch for in this race is who is on the bottom lane. The bottom lane is the fastest around these corners. The corners are so wide that you're able to be full throttle all the way around without really having to turn the wheel anymore on the bottom. So even though the outside lane gets a bit of a run down the front straightaway, you definitely want to be on the bottom through the corners and getting some pushes so that you can stay out front. They're 4 wide in the second row right now.
I see one car starting to fall off the pack. That's the 76 of Jason Parker. He needs to be up at the front of the field to try and lock himself in. We'll see what happens to the 76. He looks like he's hanging on to the back of the pack for the time being, but right now it is the 83 and 77 side by side, and we've got trouble in the back. JD Martin's upside down. Kevin Carter's upside down. Cale Tesker Jr. is involved in this one. Carter up over and over on his roof. Henry Thomas is involved. Mark Davies involved. And looking at these wrecked race cars, Henry Thomas, Jason Parker, and Aaron Hall, our pole sitter, is going to be out of this race. He's not going to be on pole anymore. He is going to drop to the rear of the field for a backup car. That has opened this race wide open, because now it's not just a race for better starting spots. It's a race for pole.
That is an awful shame for Aaron Hall and everybody involved. I mean, that's 2 team cars right there. That one's totally destroyed. I'm not totally sure the extent of Aaron Hall's damage.
Probably I saw smoke pouring out of it. It looks like he's going to be done for the night with that damage. He is absolutely going to have to go to a backup car, and he will forfeit his starting position of first for this race. JD Martin with some heavy damage. Kevin Carter with significant damage. These guys were all big contenders. Mark Davey, he started up at the front in this race, and now he's going to probably start at near the back. Cale Tesker Jr., this was a big break for Jason Parker, though. He was starting to lose touch with the leaders. Justin Hutchinson with some pretty significant damage as well. Diego Yepes is leading this race, but we're going to have... Yeah, you see already Aaron Hall out of this race. He is going to most definitely go to a backup car for the Pensacola 500, as we're going to try and get a replay of what happened to all these race cars right now here. So you look at it from high above, it looks like Henry Thomas and JD Martin are going to get together, washing up into the 70, and it just completely creamed the side of Aaron Hall. And, man, Martin just tipped Carter up onto his side. Jason Parker was collected in this a little bit. He should be able to continue, though. But so many good cars were taken out in this one. And even those that are able to continue, like Justin Hutchinson and the rest, they're going to have a lot of work to do. One more look at this from another angle. You can see, they just get pinched into the wall, and Carter goes for a wild ride down. And once he hits the grass, he just starts tipping over even more. All these guys are lucky to escape from this one, but there were so many good cars were involved in this. Mark Davey, Cale Tesker Jr., those 2 are the top contenders for Rookie of the Year. Both are going to start deep in the field for the 500, even if they do continue. This is going to be a wild ride. On board now with car number 70, Kevin Carter. He just goes up into the wall, tips onto his roof, and the camera, we lose it for a while, but you can see the carnage that this 3-mile superspeedway can bring. And just like that, the hopes of the Carter Racing System organization now rest squarely on the shoulders of car number 83 at running in second, because the rest of them are all out of this race as a result of this monumental crash on lap number 3.
Yeah, it was amazing that Carter didn't keep flipping it, and it sure is good that he didn't, because that was that could have gone much worse than it did very quickly. So glad that all those drivers are all right, and we've got 3 retired from this one and a bunch more with damage. So that's a tough break, but of course some drivers, that was a good break. Like you're talking about, Jason Parker just got the break of his life, really, coming back into this pack. He had lost it before, now he's back in it, so he's gonna have to try find a way to stay in it. There's less cars in this race, so hopefully it'll be easier, and we're gonna have a restart to focus on here coming up pretty soon.
He did sustain damage in that accident, did Jason Parker. We'll see if he can stay with the pack. If he can't, that might be okay, because he does have a few points to fall back on if he needs to for the Pensacola 500 coming up next week. But critically, we've got some guys at the front of the field that really need to run up there, like that green and white number 42 of Justin Henley. He started last in this race, and he's already up into the top 3, running 3rd in this race, and 2 cars behind him, his teammate Chase Christ, both trying to make their one-up racing debuts of any kind here in the Pensacola 500, and so far, they're looking in pretty good shape, running 3rd and 5th at the moment, with looks like no other open cars running in the top 10 as of right now.
Yeah, they must have been on the bottom lane when that crash happened. They just kind of swept through and made it happen, got to the front. So that's absolutely good. We'll see. They're going to have to start both on the bottom, I think, so that's going to help them stay up front. And the main thing for those drivers really is just going to be stay in it, you know? Don't get taken out. Stay on the bottom lane if you can. Try to ride around with the leaders, and you have to get there to the last lap to be able to have a chance. You know, you're not going to win this race on any other lap. It's only the last lap that you need to lead, and the last lap is the one you got to be ahead of those guys you're racing. So that's where you're trying to get to here. We saw some drivers already aren't going to make it there. Big problems early in this one. So we're going to have to see if everybody else is able to take advantage of that or how it's going to play out. And we've got most of this race left. So it's time to reset in all these drivers' minds and make it happen.
Keep in mind, with Aaron Hall out of this race now, this race takes on a whole new meaning. They're not just going for 3rd anymore. They're going for the pole position. And with it, a berth into the 2023 shootout. So now, this race is way more important than it was before. It was plenty important before, but now it's especially so because the winner of this race will lead him to the green on next Sunday.
Yeah, this is, you know, it's, and I'm sure that all these drivers have been told, yeah, Aaron Hall's out on the radio. Everybody's getting that message. So you'd think after a big wreck like that, people flipping down the back straightaway, you'd see these drivers maybe be a little bit more cautious about their moves. They'd probably, you know, make better decisions, more careful early in this race. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think it's going to be the same amount of intensity that we've seen already in this race and that we saw all through the shootout. It's going to be 3 and 4 wide action around this place, and it's going to pick up as soon as people start dropping down on this restart.
Absolutely. The lights are out on the pace car, which means we will be going green next time they cross the line. So Diego Yepes has led the majority of this race under the caution flag, with the lone hope for Carter Racing System in this duel running in 2nd place. Justin Henley runs 3rd. Lane Sanders, last year's Pensacola 500 winner, running 4th in a new Dodge this year. And Chase Christ, another rookie, rounds out the top 5 with 2 Kings Motorsports cars. Right behind them, Jared Polanski and Roberto Crown Jr. running 6th and 7th. Miles Mashburn in 8th. Devin Fair going to race in his first Pensacola 500 running in 9th. And William Brock rounds out the top 10. As we're coming to the restart, and we've got plenty of stories still to come in this race. Who's going to win? Who's going to start on pole for the 500? Who's going to make the race? All of that will be settled in 23 laps time.
Yeah, so it's something that's fascinating to me, at least, is this race already is important. You know, it's already starting the start. It sets the starting order. It's now going to be a race for the pole, and it's a race for a few guys to even get into the race. But also, this is so important because it's the bottom lane, and we saw even in this race with half the amount of cars that we'll see in the 500, the bottom lane just moves on the starts. We saw 1st and 2nd, and then even 3rd was racing in the 2nd lane, but all of those guys pulled out ahead and were able to lead the race early. So all of these cars that you see in this race will start on the bottom lane for the 500. So we're going to have to, you know, hopefully get top 3 in this one. That's what everybody's fighting for, a good starting spot for the big race.
Pace car pulls off. We're heading into the restart zone. The green flag is back in the air, and Diego Yepes leads them across the line to take the restart. And it looks like the Henley Bemidji racing cars have found each other in the top groove. They might be trying to form up, could drift to the back a little bit in case we get another accident, but I don't know. It's going to be pretty tough to fight your way back to the front, especially with the caliber of drivers we still have in this race. Because I still see 14 cars without damage that have a shot at winning this race. So there's going to be a lot of jostling for position. We got some Genesis cars up there. We got some Kings Motorsports cars up at the front. They're always a contender. Lane Sanders, who won this race a year ago. It's going to be a lot as you already see those damaged cars start to lose touch with the pack.
Yeah, this is going to be really fascinating. So far, it's been a little bit more spread out. That's just due to the fact that they had a single file restart as opposed to the double file start of the race. But you know, it's all about get to the bottom. I was surprised to see the teammates jump to the top. Here we see a move for the lead, stranding that 77 car on the outside lane with so few cars behind. 83 on the bottom, 72 Miles Mashburn coming up through, and then 2 cars that were in the shootout now on the bottom lane lined up with each other.
Of course, the driver of that 81 wasn't in the shootout, but that car was really fast in that race, driven by Joshua Michaels that day. Now it's the regular driver, Roberto Crown Jr. in that car, as Miles Mashburn now makes a move for the lead on the 83 coming into turn number 3. Mashburn has help from Jared Polanski on the bottom. We'll see if Lane Sanders can join the party as well, back in 5th, as Mashburn, with help from Polanski, takes the lead of this race. Mashburn has not won in quite a long time. Let's see if he can get it done here.
Wow, that was a power move from those guys on the bottom lane. I'm actually surprised how well that worked. They dropped low in the entry of the corner, and then they just ripped around there and really made it happen. Of course, they're side by side for the lead now, but I think they're going to be able to pull far enough ahead with enough push here to just get by. Plus, the outside lane is kind of fractured a little bit into 3 lanes. Miles Mashburn is going to jump up there to try to block a little bit. Not sure if that was the right move. I think that trying to stay on the bottom here is the place to be. Look at that. We're 3 wide for the lead now with a 15 on the bottom.
That's one of the cars that has the race into the 500, Anderson Reed, who remember, he was in these dual races a year ago, but missed out on the Pensacola 500. That year he made every other race and had a pretty solid rookie season, but now he's trying to race his way into the Pensacola 500 for the very first time. And look at this now, we're 4 wide for the lead, and there is Jonathan Lawson in the 16 trying to make the 500 for his series debut.
Yeah, you don't want to be 4 wide. We just saw 4 wide not work out. But this 16 car is looking good up front. He's got some help from behind. Looks like we're all right. No crashes on the backstretch this time. Not really enough cars to get, you know, you can kind of spread out a little bit along this racetrack. It's nice and wide. So 3-4 wide is okay. And there's a big move from the 7 to try and take the lead.
That is Andres Molina, who got a win at Indianapolis a year ago. Was the crowning moment of his career. I imagine a win in the Pensacola 500 would just add to his legacy even more. He takes the lead from Jonathan Lawson with help from Diego Yepes and Devin Fair on the inside line. Now Roberto Crown Jr. comes up to lend a hand. I believe, as things stand right now, the 3 cars that would race their way in are Lawson, Henley, and Christ, all on the outside line as Anderson Reed starts to fall back through the pack a little bit.
Yeah, they're headed to the back. Something I noticed in the last lap, because the score marker updates every time they cross the line. And before Andres Molina took the lead, he was in 6th place the lap prior. So he came from 6th place all the way to lead the next lap. That's just something to watch out for. It just says that when it comes down to the final lap, you could be all as far back as 6th or even farther, come all the way through the pack and win this race. So that's just the nature of this kind of racing. That's how it is now. It's how it's always been, and it's absolutely crazy. We got 4 of them side by side, all leading this race right now.
For the lead, Lane Sanders with help from Miles Mashburn on the bottom. Sanders in his first race outing in his new Dodge. He's looking to take the lead of this race and bring Dodge their first victory since 2020 in any race. This would be huge for the Dodge teams if they can find their way to victory lane. And no better to do it than Lane Sanders, who has 2 career wins, both in his first race of the season. And let's see if he can continue that streak here this year. He has a very fast Dodge under him. He's got help from Jared Polanski. And Sanders is going to easily lead him across the line. But Polanski dips out, trying to join forces with his Toyota teammates down on the bottom. Now Polanski, with help from Anderson Reed, is going to try and take the lead of this thing, and he does.
Something that happens here is as you come out of the corner, you kind of, as the tires start to wear, you slide up the track a little bit, and that's what started to happen to some of these guys, I think, is they'll come up out of the corner when you're running the bottom, slide up the track a little bit just to keep your car under you, keep your foot in the gas, and what that allows is those guys who are pushing behind to get low, just like you saw the 83 make a move on the 15 there, was able to stay low and make the move, and we'll see what happens on the front straight here with the 18. If he slides up, oh, they both slid up, and now watch that, the 42 on the bottom is going to come and try to pass both of them while they make it 3 wide for the lead. So it's just absolutely incredible, the cycle. You know, the 83 was leading this race, went to the top and moved all the way back, came to the bottom lane, and then moved all the way back up to front, and now the cycle starts over for them. So this is going to be really fascinating to watch for the rest of the day. See who is on that bottom lane coming to the end of the race.
How about Justin Henley? Started last in this race, needs to race his way into the 500. He's leading now, although it might be short-lived because Diego Yepes takes the lead back on the inside line with help from Jonathan Lawson and Roberto Crown Jr. on the bottom. Yepes to the lead of this race. As we take the halfway lap this time, Yepes is in a very solid position to take his pole position for the Pensacola 500, as now we only have 15 laps to go. It's starting to become crunch time here, if it wasn't already, because now you got less than half the race to try and make it to the front.
Yeah, and it looks like, I mean, we've got 2 distinct lanes here. Sometimes you sit in that third lane and fall to the back, but there just aren't enough cars to get like that. I wouldn't expect another crash in this one. Of course, it is close quarters racing to say something like that, but I really think that this thing's going to go all the way. You want to just learn how to place yourself on the last lap to make sure you can be there for the finish.
So with Diego Yepes out in front of this race, he has led the majority of the race. He'll probably take home the most laps led, although that will not earn him a point because this is not a points race. That starts in 1 week's time at the Pensacola 500. But right now, it is Dodge, Toyota, Dodge, Chevrolet at the front of the field with JQ Halleck's Toyota slotting into the 5th position. We haven't seen them much in this race. That purple and yellow number 4 is starting to make their way to the front, and they could be a big challenger. New to the Revolution Racing camp this year is JQ Halleck, and they both moved down with Andres Molina to try and take the 2nd spot away from Crown. They're going to go 3 wide for that position.
Yeah, that was a big move, and they both made it at the same time. It was awfully aggressive move, but that 4 car is coming to the front. It's a good look for that thing, and right now, this 77, I think you're right. This is definitely one to look for. And both the Dodges have been strong. Well, all 3 of them, you know. I mean, this is a great showing for Dodge, especially it's been such a long time since those guys have won a race in any of the series here. So it's good to see Dodge running up front and competing for wins, especially at a big-time horsepower racetrack like this one.
We've got 4 Dodges in the lead group. Diego Yepes, Andres Molina, William Brock in the 93, and Lane Sanders in the 41, all of whom are looking to bring Dodge their first victory in quite some time. But don't look now, because here comes the fast Toyotas again on the inside line. 3 of them lined up on the bottom, the 4, the 15, and the 83, with JQ Halleck heading the train. They're going to try and get past Yepes for the lead off of 4.
Yeah, we're watching Anderson Reed in this race and thinking, man, that is a fast car, somebody who can contend for the win. But you have to keep in mind that car, he's just trying to make it into the show right now. He is fast enough to probably be able to win this race if he's in the right spot on the last lap. You have to remember, he just wants to keep it clean here so that he can race on next Sunday in the big 500 miler. But this is going to be fascinating to see who is able to push the best. You know, which lane. Right now we've got the 4 car in the lead for the first time in the race, and the 15 on the bottom. We got the 83 is coming back up through the pack again. I see the 18 there on the outside. 16 is back in this thing. I mean, it's a lot of comers and goers right now, but they're coming and they're going faster than we've ever seen. You know, there's just so few cars. They go to the back and come back to the front really quick in just a few laps time. So only about 11 to go in this one. We'll have to see how it goes.
11 laps to go at the line. 14 cars in the mix for the win and for the Pensacola 500 pole. It is JQ Halleck leading the way. 3 Toyotas on the bottom, 2 Dodges up in the top groove. JQ Halleck now comes up to cover off the run generated by the Dodges. Anderson Reed comes with them, but that exposes the 83, who's been a fast car all race long. That car moves down to the inside to try and take the position from Anderson Reed but they're going for more. They're going to try and get around JQ Halleck for the race lead with help from Jonathan Lawson and Chase Christ, who needs to race his way into the 500 as well, coming to 10 laps to go at the line.
Yeah, they both moved up the track right there. They had a really good run through the corner, but they weren't able to keep it under him coming out of the corner, and that's going to allow that bottom lane. Look at that, the 46 car is going to get to the inside of the 3rd row. These front 2 got lucky just there, the 4 and the 83. They're lucky that they went 3 wide, punched a big hole through the air behind him. because they would have been left out to dry on that outside lane. Let's see if this 83 can make a move. There it is.
There's
down
some
to the
lap
bottom.
traffic up ahead, though. Justin Hutchinson
boy.
and Henry Thomas, they're running several seconds off the pace. This pack will catch them. Oh, and we got some trouble on the bottom. Jason Parker on the bottom of the racetrack. This is going to be huge. If they collide with him, this is could be catastrophic as the pack roars their way past him. Oh, they just barely missed the 76. He's got some sort of issue with that Chevrolet under him. He's going to pull it off onto pit road, see if he can't fix it, get back on the racetrack, salvage something out of this race. But my goodness, that was almost catastrophic for the entire pack, and especially for the driver of that number 76.
That would have been absolutely horrible. Definitely, you need to get to the apron if you're going that slow. I mean, it was
he sure was trying. He was just unstable in this pack. God. But that took my breath away right there. But now we have two blue and white cars up in front of this big pack. They're going side by side now. That's going to punch a bigger hole in the air, and that's going to let the pack close in that much faster, and that might even hold up more than one line at the same time. We'll see what happens when they catch this pack, because now we've only got 8 laps to go here.
Yeah, those two cars aren't exactly aerodynamic expertise right now. It looks like somebody took a bat to them. So we'll have to see what this pack is able to do. Right now, the leader, the 83 car, is going to have the ability, same with the 81, to kind of choose which lane to go.
Oh, here they come. They've caught him now. And Jason Parker, who comes out of the pit lane. But look at this. They're all being held up. How about William Brock? He squeezes it between all of them, and he takes a massive lead in this race. William Brock is in a very good position now, but I wouldn't be too confident if I was William Brock, because he's all by himself, and once that pack clears the lap cars, they are going to catch him in a massive hurry.
Yeah, it's not really, I mean, it feels really good to be that far ahead, but it's not going to last very long. Like you said, they're coming in a hurry now. Look, these three have gotten away from the lappers, and so the outside lane back there is let's see if they're going to try to pass them. It looks like they are. They're going to the top here. Oh, the 81's going to dump the 83 and go low. They're 3 wide.
That's the 83, the 81 of Crown, and the 08 of Devon Fair. We haven't talked about the 08 all race long, but here he is in the mix for a dual victory. But William Brock gets swallowed up by the pack. Chase Christ and Justin Henley, they're doing what they need to do. They're running in the top 7 right now, and they are in the top 2 transfer spots, along with Jonathan Lawson right behind them. They're all lined up on the bottom. As things stand right now, those are the 3 cars that'll race on Sunday.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. The 83 got pretty far out there. Now it's going to be the same effect. All these cars coming behind. He's going to have to do a really good job of blocking this lane of traffic that's on the way. Oh, hold the bottom. It looks like he's going to be able to do it there. The 83 car is going to stay ahead of the 93. Now they're splitting into 2 lanes and left out to dry on the outside. So that's how quickly it can happen here at Pensacola.
We have 4 cars that need to race their way in this lead pack as William Brock takes the lead back, coming to 5 laps to go. These cars, Chase Christ, Justin Henley, Anderson Reed, and Jonathan Lawson, 3 of them will know they're going to be racing in the 500 on Sunday, while the other will be holding their breath and watching that second dual race very closely to see if they too will be joining the field for the Pensacola 500, as they're flipping a pyramid almost for the race lead. But with William Brock heading that pyramid, with Devon Fair and Jonathan Lawson following in hot pursuit.
Yeah, and there's more lap cars ahead, so this is going to be...
Yep, here's one right now. Mark Davey in the 01. They're going to catch him in a big hurry. I think they might be able to split him down the middle, but that outside line's going to get caught out pretty bad. And that includes Chase Christ, who needs to race his way in. He needs to get to the bottom as soon as he possibly can, because if he can't, he might have to kiss his chances of racing on Sunday goodbye, and he might have to try again in Atlanta next time out. But we're coming to 4 laps to go. William Brock holds a nice lead. Could he get his first win of any kind? And he might be the pole sitter if he does that.
Wow, this is going to be fascinating. There aren't a lot of cars. You know, we've been talking all race about how that inside lane is the place to be, but that's kind of under a different circumstance, you know, with a bunch of cars in the pack. And when I say a bunch of cars, I mean like 14. Now we're down to even fewer. Looks like that's another lap car, the 02, who was involved in that accident before. I don't know if they're going to catch him, but This is going to be fascinating here to see which lane is able to prevail, and are those guys that got caught behind that last lapper, are they going to be able to play a factor? I don't think so. They're pretty far back.
I wouldn't be so sure.
Maybe they will,
because Polanski and Henley have already cleared them. Come to 3 laps to go, we're side by side for the lead with Brock on the outside, Halleck on the inside, Jonathan Lawson and Lane Sanders pushing them along. It's anybody's guess which of these 14 cars will secure the pole for the Pensacola 500 with a victory here tonight.
Yeah, this is actually, so the whole pack has gotten back together amazingly after all those lap cars came through and held people up.
And we might not be done with them yet either.
Yeah, for sure. So this thing is far from over. We've got the 4-car leading right now. The 41 has been fast, just like all of his Dodge Challenger buddies who are out on this track. So we'll have to see what happens here. Man, this is going to be so interesting to see. They're 4 wide back there. The inside lane is on the way. 2 fast cars on the bottom, the 72 and the 83. They've been really fast all week. And they're separated each other though there.
It looks like yeah, it looks like this pack has become a group of 15 because they look like they've picked up Mark Davey at the tail end of that train. He might be a factor in deciding who settles this one out. He might get dropped off, though, at the very end. He's at the very tail end of the pack right now. We're coming to the white flag at the end of this lap. And here comes William Brock to the inside. Does anyone go with him? No! But Jared Polanski, he jumps to the bottom. Now with a Toyota pushing a Dodge on the bottom and a Dodge pushing a Toyota up on the high side, we're coming to the white flag this time. Everything's all jumbled up, and we still don't know who's going to be the winner of this race.
Yeah, I mean, remember earlier, we were seeing people come from 6th place in 1 lap all the way to the lead. This thing is far from over. We got a whole lap left. Let's see what happens. We got 1 jumping low.
That's Molina in the 7. He critically, he pushes Jonathan Lawson into the middle lane. That could be critical for Lawson's bid to make the 500. But coming off of turn 2, this is the last lap. William Brock and JQ Halleck, neither of them have won a one-up racing event. They might catch Cale Tesker Jr. here on the back straightaway. And there's that 83 on the bottom groove. Will he have anyone go with him? It looks like Roberto Crown Jr. and Devin Fair as they come through 3 and 4 for the final time. I don't think they're going to catch Tesker Jr. by the time they get to the line. I don't think that's going to happen. But coming through 3 and 4 for the final time, it's going to be a drag race between Halleck and Brock. Neither has won a race in their careers. Coming to the line, it's going to be JQ Halleck that takes duel number 1, and critically, they will be on the pole for the Pensacola 500 here in 1 week's time.
Wow, what a performance from that 4-car. I mean, got out to the front and then just blocked the whole rest of the race. That was absolutely impressive. Nobody else was able to stay in the lead for that long. Very well done from JQ Halleck.
And it looks like, checking the scorecards, Jonathan Lawson, Anderson Reed, and Chase Christ will make the Pensacola 500, race their way in through the duels. And as for Justin Henley, he's got to hold his breath as he watches duel number 2. He's going to be the biggest fan of Motor Dash Racing. He hopes those two race their way in, because if they do, he'll most likely be racing next Sunday. But we still got another 30-lap duel to come to set the outside line. We had a thriller here in duel number 1. Is that going to mean we're going to have a calmer duel 2? I'm not so sure at this rate.
Well, we'll have to see for sure. That they were pretty calm once the field got thinned out in the beginning of this thing. But yeah, what a race! I mean, excellent driving from all these drivers, and you know, it's just another way to prepare for that 500-mile race. So everybody's gonna be ready to go. They're gonna be chomping at the bits after this little taste of it. And luckily for us, we've got another one to come. So this was a great race, and congratulations to the four crew. Very well done at the end of that thing to pull off the victory.
So JQ Halleck securing pole position for the Pensacola 500, and their first since Las Vegas back in 2020. This is going to be an absolute thriller of a Pensacola 500 to watch coming up soon. I believe, looking at the scorecards, I think Jason Parker will make the Pensacola 500 on points. And Aaron Hall, of course, will race in the 500, but he will start at the rear of the field due to that horrible crash at the very beginning. But we know some of the drivers that'll be racing on Sunday. And now we've got a whole nother duel to set the rest of them. So, from Duke and Second for myself as well, we say goodbye for just a little while, but don't go anywhere because the second of 2 duels here at Pensacola is coming up in a real short time. So don't go anywhere. You're going to want to see the rest of this to see who makes up the starting grid for the 3rd annual Pensacola 500.